disfruten, and it wasn't so friendly to a handful of our playoff drivers, and it started early. See here, the drop of the green flag. Lane Riggs leading the field to green for the second time this here, but not to fear, Lane Riggs fans. This truck was solid. He was able to fight his way back, had trouble at the end, and certainly didn't show for how good that truck was. So we take a look at the playoff leaderboard here for the Honeycutt, 7 points out. So it's all ramping up, and we're so excited to get back to short track racing. I'm Jamie Little, joined by Kevin Harvick. Kevin, he's done it all, include winning 3 times here in the Cup Series. Bristol, I know it brought a smile to your face. What are these drivers up against here for this practice session, qualifying straight to the race tonight?
Well, the first thing you have to remember is breathe, because this racetrack will take your breath for the first 5, 6, 10 laps that you're on the racetrack. And really, this is a racetrack that you have to get into a rhythm. I always wanted to get into a rhythm at this racetrack, and I think when you look back at those days of trying to understand where your truck is handling, how it is handling, what you need to report to the team, sometimes you just need to go and make laps, and I think that's what these guys need to do. They've all been in the simulator. They've all been prepping for the racetrack to go out and do what they need to do. But I think when you get on the racetrack and you get all those G-forces and you have all the things that happen so quick at Bristol, and I think the last piece of that equation is don't beat yourself.
Absolutely. It all starts right here. We're going to check in with Mr. Todd Bodine. He's going to be covering all of the action for the practice, followed by qualifying. How you doing, Todd?
I'm good, Jamie. Thank you. Yeah, this morning in the tech line for these trucks was pretty busy, and there was a lot of teams that had some issues. NASCAR cracking down on a couple of the templates that fit around the back of the truck, and some couple other things, but 3 trucks in particular, the 9 of Grant Enfinger, the 19 of Daniel Hemrick, and the 52 of Caden Honeycutt, they all received 10-minute time penalties for this practice. And when you have a 10-minute time penalty in a 20-minute practice, that's pretty big. So look for those guys to not get the practice they need, and maybe affect their setups a little bit, because you need all the time you can get.
Yeah, great report. That is a big penalty there, 10 minutes when they only have 25 minutes on practice, and that's 3 of our playoff drivers. We'll step aside. When we come back, we'll drop
on Fox and watch anytime on Hulu.
Welcome back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck and qualifying from Bristol Motor Speedway. First group is on track, 25 minutes here. All of our playoff drivers will be in group number 2. Love coming to this place, love this track, but it's interesting, Kevin, because they're practicing qualifying in the daylight. We're racing tonight under the lights starting at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, and the unique part about this practice, you see that black strip on the bottom of the racetrack right there. That's the PJ1 traction compound that they put on the bottom of the racetrack. So you see how dark it is right now, and there's been a big emphasis to try to give that bottom lane a lot of speed. But the challenge that creates is it takes a little bit for all of that to get going. And as the practice goes, the racetrack will start to get more and more grip on the bottom of that racetrack. But the other thing that does is it really locks the trucks down to the bottom. They're going to run the bottom of this racetrack for a majority of the race and all of this practice, unless somebody really ventures up there and spends some time working that middle and top groove in. So we'll see that bottom lane be the preferred lane as you go through practice and in the first part of the race tonight.
So you mentioned the traction compound. They did just spray that a couple of hours ago. It's the bottom 4 feet on both ends of the racetrack, just like it was in the spring, but you often hear them talk about activation. How long does it take for it to activate? And I talked to a couple of crew chiefs, and they basically said by the second group, or the second practice group, it should be fine, but this first one, it's got to feel a little different.
Well, it is definitely a disadvantage to be able to get a really good read on your race truck, because a lot of times it'll just kind of take that top layer and just brush it off, and sometimes it creates little marbles and things that go up the racetrack. But for the most part, they've got this process pretty perfected as they put it down, and they've kind of found the sweet spot for Bristol. But you see the rubber that's going down on the top side of that darker traction compound down in the bottom 4 feet of the racetrack, but you can see the rubber going down on the racetrack. So really green racetrack, and they have to be able to get a good feel for where they want to be from a handling setup. But a lot of this is for the driver's rhythm, because you can't put a lot, unless you're way off, it's hard to really detail your truck in this first group.
See Gio Ruggiero pull off. He had a great run at Darlington. We talked a lot about him. Kevin, you were here in the booth alongside me. He's second quick so far with the 15:76 fastest lap around here. Matt Crafton in the 88 fastest so far, and we've talked about him. He announced he is going to step away from full-time racing or retirement, as we did here. So only a handful of races left for old Matt Crafton and what he's done. He's been such a staple in this truck series.
Yeah, it's good to see Matt at the top of the board. You get to these short tracks, and really a lot of the racetracks that we go to, Matt's been to them so many times, and to be able to have that experience, it'd be great to see him get back in the victory lane. Menard's been on the side of that truck for so long, and Matt's been
years.
and Matt's been a part of that the whole time. So it all comes to an end at some point. So it's it's been a long time. Matt made his first start here at Bristol in 2003. So he's definitely got the experience and seen the evolution of Bristol to go with it.
See, Bailey Curry just jumped up to the second spot. He was really good here in the spring. We talked a lot about him. I believe he finished in the top 10. Let's take a little look back with Matt Crafton. 25th full-time season here in the Truck Series. We said he's been around a long time. We're not kidding.
Yeah, and I grew up actually racing go-karts with Matt when I was a kid, and so the Crafton family and the West Coast racing scene has seen them have a lot of success out there. So it's always great for a West Coast guy to come east, and like I say, we grew up racing karts together, so I've known Matt a long time.
I just can't imagine what life would be like when you've raced that long and you get out of the seat and that's that.
Well, you better have a plan, because you'll get bored. So hopefully Matt's got a plan it seems like he races a lot of other things on the dirt and in different places. So I'm sure that he'll be able to find a way to keep himself busy, because if you don't, as a race driver, you'll wind up bored really fast.
Start racing his kids like you're racing Keelan?
Well,
Getting beat by Keelan?
That's a good way to spend a lot of money if you want to.
How much fun is that, though, racing against your 13-year-old?
It is. We've had a great time, and I think for me, I didn't even realize that it was actually going to happen, and I think being able to compete against your kids at something and have fun with it, the fun part, it's been a job for so long. You forget how much fun racing is and why you got into racing in the first place. But that passion and love for motorsports and racing, and now getting to share that with Keelan to be able to move along through his career, it's been fun so far.
It's really been fun to watch. So we take a look at the 75 truck. That's Parker Kligerman back in the Truck Series. What a year this guy has had. Just a couple of weeks ago, we saw him take over the reins in the Xfinity Series for an injured Connor Zilic. drives the car to victory at Daytona, gets technically his second checkered flag, but he gets credit for neither. Of course, he did that at Daytona race number 1 in the truck, and they were disqualified afterwards. But this guy can't catch a break. He just needs to get one solid win and get it in the record books, Kevin.
Yeah, well, you see him pop up to P3 on the board right there and head back to pit road there to
41 spun. You see him right there. That brings out the caution for the first time here in practice number 1. Connor Jones in the 41. They'll tend to him. We'll step aside as practice will continue here after the break.
It just kept getting so free in that you couldn't really just do anything. It would drive me up the track so far and get out in the no man's land into one. So yeah.
Yeah, and that really explains why he was up the racetrack, and that's not uncommon here at Bristol. When you're having to turn the truck right to get into these corners, you wind up not being able to keep the truck on the bottom of the racetrack to correct. So that puts you in a tough spot. Connor's a great kid, one of our standouts on the Cars Tour, trying to break into the ranks of the truck series. So he does a great job over there. Has a lot of personality, a lot of fire, and I know right now he's mad at the situation, but looking forward to seeing him get some laps tonight.
He did a heck of a job, though. That truck certainly looks good after what it could have been. So they'll adjust on it, try to get back out for some more laps. Take a look at Tony Breidinger's truck. She has some of the best looking paint schemes every week, just solid partnerships that she brings into the sport, that this team brings in for her.
Yeah, and you get a good look right here, and someone in Tony's case, you know, that it's just really about getting in that rhythm and making laps and being able to try to get the pace up quicker. As you see a lot of the more inexperienced drivers, and this is where they learn, right? Like the truck series is where you learn the track. It's where you learn all the things that you need to apply to the next level. And I think one thing that we noticed with Tony, usually by the end of the race, she's up to speed a lot better. So it's gaining that confidence, especially at a place like Bristol, to be able to gain that confidence, to be able to push the truck fast enough to get that pace up to where she would want it to be really competitive in the front half of the field. So she's doing a good job. You don't want to wind up with 4 flat tires from a spin out, so creeping up on it, because a place like Bristol will reach out and bite you pretty quick.
Well, you mentioned just running laps. She's working lap number 27, so certainly getting a lot of on-track time. And the benefit for a lot of these drivers coming to Bristol, Kevin, is this is one of the very few places that we go twice a year. And the ARCA Menard Series races here. In fact, they're racing tonight right before our race. So she's had multiple race experiences around this place.
Yeah, and anytime that you go to a racetrack where you have that experience, as we see Bailey Curry here wrapping the bottom of the racetrack in that 45 truck, but anytime that you can come to a racetrack that you've already been to, or you have experience, or you have notes, it just makes that confidence level go up. And sometimes just that in itself is the next step that you take in getting the speed where it needs to be. So it's still a tough racetrack, and all these guys are going to practice, and guys and gals are going to practice on the bottom of the racetrack, and they're going to get that groove cleaned off, and next thing you know, the track's going to pick up pace, and the next group's going to go out, and then you're going to go about halfway through the race tonight. All right, let's run up the racetrack a little bit in a totally different rhythm and way that you drive the vehicles. So it's a fun place to race, but there's a lot to take in.
Bailey Curry working lap 27 as Corey Heim looks on. We mentioned Corey Heim, and the other 9 playoff drivers will all be coming up in the second session. Just over 12 minutes remain here. Take a look at Trayton Lapsevich from Canada, the 21-year-old. He ran an ARCA race earlier this season. In fact, it was just in June, and won it at Berlin, led all 200 laps. Talk about a standout in that race and what that can do for your confidence. And a guy like this who's just trying to find his way, doesn't have a lot of racing experience in America, has been racing in Canada his whole career. Yeah, and I feel like I have a little bit of inside knowledge on a lot of these guys. You talk about Connor Jones and Trayton and everything that he's done. He won a lot of races a couple races in the Cars Tour last year. He goes all over the country and has success and is competitive. And you talk about Berlin and the ARCA race and just went up there and absolutely dominated. So Trayton's a great racer. He just needs the right break to be able to get a full-time opportunity. But it's great to see him be able to get into these trucks. Well, Young's Motorsports gave him that opportunity. As we look at Dawson Sutton, a little bit different look for them. They got the Tennessee orange on the side of this truck. Normally he's blue. Dawson in his rookie year. 19-year-old from Lebanon, Tennessee.
Yeah, I get to spend a lot of time around Dawson with Keelan and I run a lot of the Rackley War late models. They handle our late model program. So watching Dawson learn and grow and be able to keep progressing and go to a place that he's been before and go back to, he doesn't go back to many racetracks that he's actually been able to race on. So a lot of success on the short tracks, and I think that as you look at the truck series and all the different experience level, we talk about Matt Crafton, and then you get to Dawson Sutton there, you have so many different sides of the experience level and what you want to accomplish, and in this practice is very different.
Love that about the truck series. We've got something for everyone here. Let's listen from the veteran Matt Crafton on his radio.
Starting to get this a little bit free, and it has a little bit on that land. That last, we'll call it last half of the last third, like when it's coming out of the hole, it'll get tight on you here and there. You got to be really patient with it and do what I used to do. Yeah,
and that, you know, what Matt is saying right there is you just want to wrap that bottom as long as you can. If you leave that grip strip too early and don't wrap it far enough around the corner and you get those left side tires off of that yellow line, it will actually just take the front tires and scoot straight up the racetrack into a tight condition. So this is the time when you want to find out, okay, how fast can I roll off the brake? How soon can I tip into that partial throttle? How much partial throttle can I give that truck to be able to not slide out off the bottom lane and start that tight on the exit of the corner to where the truck will push out? So, you know, you're testing those grip limits, and you're testing, you know, how fast that you can do all those different techniques with the pedals to be able to still wrap the bottom of the racetrack and utilize and understand where all that grip is. But we talk about that loose end and that common trend at Bristol. I mean, I would say that it's more into turn one with the way that the truck is, you know, kind of unloads and the way it goes down the hill, and then there's a bump down there that the left front hits. It's all those little things that a guy like Matt knows, and he knows what he wants to feel out of that truck. But loose end here is not fun to deal with.
That's Josh Hankish. He's listening, watching, taking notes on his phone, trying to decide what to adjust on. I want to know what Matt was saying. He said, I want to get back to where I can do what I used to do. What's that secret sauce he's talking about?
Well, a lot of times, and you want to take that left front tire, and it's like a trough down there on that yellow line. Once that grip gets built onto that yellow line, it's like where it goes to the apron banking right there. You can put that left front tire right in there and really pull you around the corner, but it's a fine line.
Like you used to do at Atlanta?
Yeah, it used to be able to do it at Bristol too. Yeah, we used to do the Harvicking at Bristol as well before they reconfigured it. But that bottom lane gets a lot of rubber and a lot of grip on it that you can take that left front tire and it'll just pull you right around the corner.
Well, the 88 so far, so good. Fastest in this group, 7.5 minutes remain. Bailey Curry second, Gio Ruggiero, Parker Kligerman, Dawson Sutton, your top 5. We'll be back to wrap up this session. We'll see all the playoff drivers still to come. Thursday, the only Thursday that we have racing all year long. Certainly unique. Jamie Little along with Kevin Harvick, Todd Bodine on pit road, and we'll have Joey Logano joining us here in the booth for the race tonight, 8 o'clock on FS1. As Group 1 continues here, you take a look at Cole Butcher in the 62, driving for Halmar Friesen Racing, running a second entry this weekend, making his debut in the Truck Series, Kevin.
Yeah, I feel like it's the debut weekend of all the guys that I've been watching race for the last couple of years on all these short tracks across the country. But Cole does a great job, primarily on the super late model scene in the ASA National Series. So Bristol is just one of those places where you see a lot of these guys like Cole be able to get the opportunity to come try to take the next step and be able to go from super late models or late model stocks to try their hand at Truck Series racing on a track that they feel more comfortable with. When you go to Bristol and Richmond and IRP, I don't know what we call it now. Is that right? Is it IRP still?
Indianapolis
I
Raceway
call it what
Park,
I want.
Lucas Oil Raceway Park.
Is
Yes.
that what you're saying?
Yes, Indianapolis.
But anyway, it's great to be able to see a lot of these short track racers be able to take their career and take it to the next level. And Cole is another one of those guys that has won a lot of races in the short track scene and has won several races this year. But great to see him on the racetrack taking that next step.
Yeah, the co-owner of the team, Stuart Friesen, at home still recovering. Thinking about him, we know he is hooked up, watching, listening, taking notes, helping his drivers. Caden Honeycutt, he's coming up. But a lot more on the plate when you have two trucks entered. They're normally just focused on the one. But Cole doing a nice job here. 8th on the board.
And you want to see guys like Cole do well, right? Like that really makes the series that you're racing in more legitimate, to be able to go out and be competitive and do the things that you do on a weekly basis in the short track scene on a regional level, and now take it to a national level in front of a national audience and be able to get that experience and be competitive, because that makes the next guy think that he can be any one of these guys that we've talked about. They've all come through those short track ranks and just looking for the next opportunity to progress their career.
Greg Van Alst, one of the drivers in the field for tonight's race. He's one of those, he went to Daytona. He won it a few years ago in the ARCA Menard Series, and we play it all the time. But he says guys like me aren't supposed to win here, because he's a short track guy from middle of Indiana, and he comes here on the national level, and people see him and suddenly know his name, and that's what you're talking about. It's kind of, this is where you start, this is where you enter, and doing it at a short track is certainly the way. That's why we see so many new names and we meet these guys for the first time.
Yeah, you see Bailey Curry here. I think that when you look at our short track system, there's so many different places to race and so many different opportunities. But when you get these guys to be able to come and race in the Truck Series and then go back to their short tracks, it's almost like they're the guy that's leading the notoriety that goes with being in a truck and everything that they get to do here at Bristol or wherever they go. That almost makes the short track guys start to ask questions. Well, what'd you think? How was it? The vehicles drive very different. This vehicle is very heavy compared to the late model stocks and the super late models and pro late models and short track cars that we race across the country. So it's a much different style of driving, but if you can get your guy from your area to be successful and go try it out, that's what continuously spurs the system for new guys to want to try something different, or say, hey, I'm racing in the right series in the right track, and these are the guys that have made it. So we feel like we can get there too.
It's like Shane Van Gisbergen, right? He's come over here. They're all rooting for him in New Zealand and Australia. And how many of those have you seen have opportunities over here trying to be the next SVG? So we take a look at Stephen Parsons back in the field. 2 races in a row for Stephen. He always starts and stops. It's just what other opportunities are available, and he gets a chance 2 weeks in a row. He's running the Xfinity car tomorrow as well. Nice top 15 finish at Darlington for Stephen. Top 5 or top 10, I should say, 9th on the board. 16 flat was his fastest lap around here. Most laps run 62 by Tony Breidinger in this session. You see the red flag is out. That is the end of practice for group number 1. They'll bring it back to their pit boxes, do a little work, cover them up, and get ready for qualifying. As we take a look at Corey Heim getting ready. Playoff drivers coming up next.
One for the record books, but Corey Heim, he's a great talent. He's going to have a shot to have a chance on Sundays as you go down the road, but they definitely seem to have control of having a chance to win this championship, and have executed. You know, they executed at Darlington, and we saw Lane Riggs make a mistake. They're on the pits. Been in that position where those guys are right now, making mistakes, and so far to start the playoffs, Corey Heim has delivered and put themselves in victory lane already, and now they come to Bristol. I don't know how they can get any more points, but he can definitely put himself in position to get some more of those bonus points to make sure that he gets to Phoenix.
Corey Heim, the only one locked into the round of 8 so far. We have the race tonight, and then we go to Loudon, New Hampshire next weekend. That'll be elimination race weekend where we'll cut it from 10 drivers down to 8. You mentioned Corey Heim. I talked to his crew chief, Scott Zippadelli, earlier today, and he said it's just humbling, you know, to win as much as we have. Just, it's one of those years, everything is firing. Everything is going well for us. They're just a dynamic duo together. It reminds me of you and Rodney Childers. It's just that kind of dynamic. They can tie the record for most wins in a season tonight, Kevin, at 9, something Greg Biffle did back in 1999. And I'm sure it's attainable with 6 races still to go in the season.
And it's addicting. And when you talk about getting into that rhythm and mode, and you start winning all those races, you don't want it to end. And you almost, it seems like they're a lot like Rodney and I, where you almost work harder to try to keep it going, and knowing that you have to progress, and you know that everybody's chasing you, working on the details of trying to make their trucks better. And these guys have executed, and being able to have that time together and being able to have that experience, because for the Truck Series, they're very experienced for being together that long. And Corey, as a driver, you know, with a young talent, having that much experience, you know, these guys have put themselves in position to be the favorite for the championship.
Different look for Corey Heim with Yahoo on board this weekend. You can see on the pylon on the left, drivers in blue highlighted there as playoff drivers. Corey Heim in red because he has advanced to the round of 8. We also have a few drivers in timeout, Kevin.
Yeah, it's the NASCAR parenting method that has put the 19, the 9, and the 52 in a 10-minute timeout. They're grounded. They have to stay in their pit stall because of an inspection that we heard Todd talk about. But at a place like this, whew, there's not a lot of practice, and so much depends on that rhythm and the information that you give the team about the trucks and what you have to do in just a few hours to go back out on the racetrack and race. So as a driver, you're sitting there just watching all these trucks go around the racetrack, knowing that you're just getting every lap that they're making, you're getting further behind. So you know, we heard the series director Seth talk about this on our conference calls, and they were going to try to make this these penalties a little more impactful to make these guys try to get their trucks right when they come through inspection. So, but the good news is for all these guys that are not on the racetrack, in 10 minutes you can make about 40 laps, so they should get plenty of laps.
Yeah, so from 25 minutes of practice that Lane Riggs and Corey Heim and the others get, those 3 that are in the penalty box will only get 15 minutes. So that's Daniel Hemrick, got the 9 of Grant Enfinger, and Caden Honeycutt are those 3.
Yeah, thanks for cleaning that up. I just make them numbers. I've been used to being a number my whole life, so you put some names with that number. Good job.
We've tried to get it in there where you say a number and you say a name, because it takes drivers driving the trucks, Kevin. They're not just numbers.
Yeah, but you know, as a driver, you just become a number.
Looking at Lane Riggs, crew chief on the right for a moment there. Dylan Capello, congratulations to him. Got married in the off weekend last week. Lane Riggs was there. Looked like a great time. Nothing like getting married and then jumping right back to the racetrack.
Yeah, it's a short week too, so I hope that, I don't know how long the party lasted, but you know, it's a short week to get prepared, but they've done a great job of putting themselves on the racetrack with fast trucks. Now just need to capitalize and get that thing to victory lane.
Yeah, when you work in racing, you are a racer. You usually get married in December, but if you want to get married in nice weather, it has to be during the season. You got to take your honeymoon at another time. So we take a look at the 18 of Tyler Ankrum. 7th at Darlington, not a bad run for them. Tyler told us during the media time we spent with him a couple of weeks ago for the playoffs, and he said, you know, we came out of the box, we were strong, 2nd year together with this team, and then we kind of lost our way a little bit. We need to find it. So I feel like they found it a little bit at Darlington. You know, they got that win earlier in the season. Kevin broke that long winless streak.
Yeah, and you know, I think when the playoffs start, you hear so many people talk about it's playoff time and we need to do this, and you know, we got to step it up, and really you need to be able to do that all year, and you need to put yourself in a position to prepare for the playoffs like you would prepare for any other race. They're going to do the job of making more downforce and trying to maximize everything that they can. But you know, you look back, and I said this at the beginning of the show, and we ironically bring the 38 truck up here of Chandler Smith, and just don't beat yourself in this first round. Don't do what Chandler did last week, and I know that I'm sure he beat himself up over making that mistake because the trucks were fragile, and we saw Corey Heim run down lower than everybody else all night trying to protect the right side of his truck, and a lot of times you see guys get so amped up that they make mistakes, and I feel like that's what happened with this 38 truck last week. They had plenty of speed, but the ultimate goal in these playoffs is just survive and advance. Put yourself in a position to survive and advance. So got to do the same thing here tonight at Bristol.
Let's listen to his teammate Lane Riggs' radio. What are they thinking about?
Really good down the hill, just max load, center, late center. It's just a little too free. Just got to be tighter. I feel like I have to guard against it a little bit in that area. Great truck, guys. Awesome job.
Well, he sounds really happy. Just need a couple of adjustments there.
And the one thing I see, you know, Lane Riggs up on the top of the board right here at a 60. I believe Matt Crafton was a 60. Let's see, 64 in the first practice. So not a lot of difference in the racetrack. So seeing that makes me think that bottom lane came in pretty quick at the beginning of that first practice. And you look out the back of this truck right here, and you see that grip strip start to almost rubber up. It kind of gets a little chunky with the way that the rubber builds up on top of that grip strip. So, you know, you'll start to notice some of that inside the truck. But Lane has done a good job to start this practice, and he's got an unfair advantage. I look at the stats sheet right here. His dad, Scott Riggs, had 5 Truck Series wins and 4 Xfinity Series wins, but he's kind of got that unfair advantage with Dad being a winner. It's in the genes, and being able to go to Scott and talk about certain racetracks and things that he's been able to race on. And obviously Lane has been here a few times now, but they've done a great job in really building trucks that have a lot of speed. I think the next step is kind of like we see with Corey Heim in his truck. How do we capitalize more times on those trucks and in position to have a chance to win at Darlington, make the mistake on pit road? We saw at the beginning of the year, North Wilkesboro, a couple of those places where in position to win, spin out, wreck, or whatever that may be. So really that's the next thing for Lane. Do I think he could put it all together and have a chance to win the championship at the end of the year? Yes, I do. But it's going to come down to not making those mistakes, because beating a guy like Corey Heim is going to be difficult to do, because they're not going to make as many mistakes as you hear him get tight right there up off the exit of the corner.
Lane Riggs on top of the board after 20 laps. They made that adjustment. See if they make it a little bit better. Love this side-by-side. Lane Riggs, Corey Heim. This has been the battle week in and week out. Stay with us. 16 minutes remain in practice.
This
2 races. So I feel like, do you feel like that puts them in the caliber of they're the ones to beat? I mean, you look at Riggs up top right now, fastest.
Well, I mean, Riggs is the only guy who has beat Heim in the last 3 months. So,
pretty much.
Yeah, and I think when you look at that, and as we look at the 52 truck here on the racetrack of Caden Honeycutt, but when you talk about the Lane Riggs Corey Heim battle, I think certain places, I think Chandler Smith is going to be really good tonight based upon his past history here. Front row has done a great job with their trucks and the things that they put on the racetrack as far as speed. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
So good to see Caden Honeycutt out there. That means he is out of the penalty box. All 3 of the trucks.
He's out of timeout.
He's out of timeout. Daniel Hemrick is out as well. Grant Enfinger. So they're getting their first laps on track. So far, Lane Riggs fastest of both sessions with a 15:60. 15 seconds around this half-mile track is getting it.
Oh, it happens. It happens so fast. And one of the coolest parts about Bristol when you're really locked in is being able to get in that rhythm. And you almost lose track of where you're at on the racetrack. It just, your hands and your feet and everything that happens inside the race car just happens once you just have made so many laps and you're in that great rhythm. You know where all the bumps are to counter steer. You know when you need to put more wheel into it, and you know when you need to unwind, and your foot just kind of goes with the back of the car as far as that partial throttle and everything that goes with Bristol. So it's such a cool place when everything's going good and the vehicle is driving well. But when it's not, it is a long, long night.
Let's listen to Ty Majeski's radio.
Yeah, we're just loose under, turn off the wall. And as soon as it lands tight, chatter in the right front, and the back is, I don't know. We're just on top of the racetrack from the second we land all the way to exit both ends of the truck.
Worst possible condition you can have at Bristol. Loose end, tight in the middle. And they go hand in hand. Typically, the problem starts with the first part of the corner. When you can't put that wheel into the truck to get the car or truck down to the bottom of the racetrack, when you just kind of have to ride the vehicle until it takes a set, and then you have to turn the wheel, it's just making that tighter. So you got to fix the first problem. You got to be able to turn off the wall, get the truck to the end of the first third of the corner, and be able to be aggressive with that wheel on turn in, because otherwise if you can't turn it on the entry to the corner, it's going to be tight when it gets to the center of the corner.
Well, I have a feeling that Joe Shear knows exactly what to do to help this 98 truck, right, Todd?
That's exactly right, Jamie. I talked with Joe and Ty this morning. This is the exact truck they ran here in the spring with the exact same setup with 2 minor changes. But it's what Ty just told you his problems were. That's the same exact problems he had in the spring. So the racetrack seems to be holding true from what it was in the spring, even though we got a lot more rubber down. And remember, last spring, we didn't have rubber on this racetrack when they started the race. So that's going to be different for these guys at the green flag.
Yeah, you talk about that rubber being on the racetrack, and you see how you see Chandler Smith up the racetrack, and we talked about those guys that want to push the groove up the racetrack. There's a lot of guys that Chandler looks like to be one of them that want to run up the racetrack because they know eventually it's going to be faster, and the sooner that they can get up there, they can use their experience and rhythm and all the things that go with running that top line well. So really excited to see the racetrack already starting to spread out.
So Chandler Smith won this race here from the 3rd starting spot in the spring, but now he's on the outside looking in when it comes to the championship points and trying to move on to that round of 8. He is 2 points out now because of that mistake that you talked about, Kevin, at Darlington. But after he was interviewed, and he said, I'm used to running the Xfinity car. He's back in the truck series after a couple of years, and it's a different style body. When you get into the wall in an Xfinity car, it's a lot different than getting into the wall in one of these trucks.
Yeah, and I heard him say that, and you got to know what you're dealing with. You got to know that truck is fragile. You can be mad about it not being composite body and all those things. But in the end, it's your responsibility as the driver to know what you're dealing with. But the one thing I will say, watching Chandler right here, it looks, the bottom of the racetrack is about 1/10.5 to 2/10 of a second faster. But as that night goes on and the grip strip starts to wear out a little bit, and you can move and really get the groove up where it needs to be up the racetrack, and you start to deal with the fall off that goes with that bottom lane, eventually that top groove will start to have some merit to it as far as the speed goes.
Let's take a look back at his win. It was just the 6th race into the season. This brand new team. Here it is, Chandler Smith on the outside in the 38 over Corey Heim. What a night for him. He had just signed with this team, brought them all together, interviewed the crew chiefs, chose his crew chief. He basically put everybody together just weeks before they went to Daytona, and for the 6th race of the year to come out and get this win, gosh, that meant a lot for them and every person that's part of this operation.
Well, and there's a lot of pressure in this situation. When you go from the Xfinity Series back down to the Truck Series, the expectation is to go in there win. And like you say, they put this deal together really late. Sounds like Chandler had a lot to do with placing the crew chief and a lot of team members. So it's great to see him get that win out of the way and put themselves in position to be true contenders as we race towards the championship.
Chandler Smith, 65 laps in so far. He just brought it down pit road. They'll make some adjustments on that truck as we see Grant Enfinger. Pretty sporty so far. 4th on the board, 15 laps in. 7 minutes remain in practice.
K-State. Are you serious?
It was in Bristol, Tennessee.
Well, maybe. I thought it came together on the streets of Bakersfield.
Really? Out west, huh? I think that was a different kind of music.
Yeah.
The world's fastest half mile, Bristol Motor Speedway under the lights That's coming up tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Xfinity racing tomorrow night, and you have the Cup Series here on Saturday. Well, so far, Lane Riggs fastest after 53 laps here. Jack Wood way up there in practice, having a great day. But Raja Karuth, not so much in the 71 truck, the slowest of all of our playoff drivers. 50 laps turned, Kevin, 26th on the board. Yeah,
and that's definitely not where you want to be, knowing that you're in the middle of the whole playoff contention. You want to go out and have every practice session and everything go right, but that's part of it. You got to know that things are going to go wrong. It's not going to go perfect, and when you're in these positions, you got to get out, talk to your crew chief, analyze what's going on, try to make a good decision quickly for qualifying, because you can make that all go away just with one good qualifying lap and put yourself somewhere in the top 15 instead of being down there in 26. So it becomes minimize the damage. Try to minimize the points lost throughout the night if you really think your vehicle is not that good. So always an interesting scenario.
Let's listen to Raja's radio.
It didn't really, help the exit that much, and then it freed up everywhere else. So, all right, entry still probably a 2-3, and it's not on the pedal. It's like hands off the wall as I'm lifting.
Oh, and we've heard that talked about so many times today from so many of these Truck Series drivers. And when you turn off the wall and immediately have to turn right, it's just that sails the back of the truck getting in the corner, and it just never allows you to get down in the corner aggressively, and that's really where that speed loss comes from, because of the fact that you have to be on defense all the way on the entry to the corner. So not fun as a driver to have to deal with loose end.
And I'm sure it's frustrating because he ran so well here in the spring. Finished 9th, got his first and only career stage win here as well. So he comes in with automatic expectations, and add to that you're in the playoffs, you expect a little bit more. But like you said, it could be just one adjustment away from being in the ballpark. But Kevin, the thing that's so intriguing to me is how much are you willing to adjust on the truck and the way it's handling now, knowing that things will be different tonight?
Yeah, you got to have a plan. You got to know what you think that the practice to race balance needs to be, and you got to go with the trends and the characteristics that you have from past races and past drivers, and all those things on the crew chief and engineering side. You got to say, hey, we think it's going to get tighter, we think it's going to get looser. Whatever direction you think that is, you got to be able to say, okay, well, we think it's going to be a positive or a negative for whatever we're fighting right now.
Right now he is the carrot for Lane Riggs, who's moving up the track, trying to move around. And we take a look at Daniel Hemrick for the first time. He's got South Point going out to Las Vegas, where the racers stay when we race out there.
Well, it's always fun for me to see South Point on the side of those vehicles, and I think back to the Gong family and everything that they have done and currently do for this sport. So active in the racing community, and obviously being all over Daniel Hemrick's truck here with that black and yellow paint job is a lot of fun to see. They support so much. So Daniel got put in timeout.
Yes, he did.
Well, his team and Daniel got put in timeout. We see he's 17th on the board.
And you see the red flag has come out. That means practice is officially over. Hopefully the 19 Hemrick got all that they were hoping for in this session, but like you said, 17th after 33 laps. So Lane Riggs wins practice. Jack Wood, great showing. Matt Crafton ended up 3rd there. Grant Enfinger and Jake Garcia, the top 5. Drivers will hop out. They'll make a few adjustments, and on the backside, we will get to qualifying. Hey, there's Trevor Bain. Great run a couple of weeks ago in the truck. Now he's back to driver coaching.
Tonight, it's baseball night.
Speedway, already converted back to a racetrack. We're getting ready for qualifying. Stay with us. It's coming up next.
America's Game of the Week might be the game.
Three-time winner here, a place that we loved watching you race, Kevin. You raced, I think, everything here multiple times, so getting ready for a little truck action.
Yeah, and this is always I
got a full experience of Big 12 football.
The fact that these guys, they know what typically the pace pickup is from practice to qualifying, but being able to go out on the racetrack and do that is always really difficult. So is it the first lap? Is it the second lap? All the guys that go out early still have rubber on the racetrack. We'll progressively see the pace of the field pick up as they start to pick that rubber up off the racetrack. But from a driver's standpoint, when you looked at practice, we talked about Daniel Hemrick in 17th. First was a 60. 17th was a 77, I believe. So that is well, I have the sheet right here in front of me. Yeah, so I guessed right.
You guessed right.
I do have a memory.
Not bad for a 50-year-old.
Yeah, almost.
Okay, almost. Clay Greenfield, first up, had a hard time getting it fired, but he's off and rolling. Really nice looking truck there. Stars and stripes, making his second start of 2025. Talk about pressure. Only been in the truck one time this season. That was way back at Daytona, and come out here.
It doesn't look fun right there.
Going for a wild ride. This is single round, 2 laps. We have 37 trucks here for 36 spots, so one will go home. Whew, he's got a twitchy truck, as they say.
He definitely has his hand full, and you can hear that he's out of the throttle right there, up off the corner. So definitely an intense couple laps at Bristol when they're driving this way.
So top 31 in speed will lock you in for tonight's race. So Clay Greenfield brings it down pit road. Next up is the 35. of Greg Van Alst as he gets ready to take to the track. Let's check in with Todd.
Here with Lane Riggs. Lane, you're coming off of a tough race in Darlington. We talked about that earlier, putting that behind you. To a racetrack, you're a defending race winner. You love this place. I heard you talking to crew chief Dylan Capel. You got a few issues in the truck, but do you think you got something to go back to back here?
I really do, Todd. And like I say, I think we're just really on kill right now. We got a lot of speed. We made some changes from last year and even the spring race here that we wanted to try out because I didn't quite think we were going to be dominant enough. And obviously they're paying off with a lot of speed. So big thanks to just everybody at Front Row Motorsports, loves travel stops. This Ford F-150 really is fast today. And, you know, it's just a lot of questions about, is the top going to come in? Are we just going to run the bottom all night? And just trying to get those top to bottom balance connected to make sure you can run both of them. But at the same time, not give up anything running the bottom. So it's just going to be kind of a gamble, but hopefully we'll have a couple pit stops to make it better if it's not quite right.
Lane Riggs going for his second race at Bristol. Jamie?
Thanks, Todd. I like his insight there, Kevin. Really thinking ahead and wondering, you know, what adjustments do we need for tonight? Running the top, running the bottom.
Yeah, you're going to have a plan to be able to do both because at some point you're going to have to pass somebody anyway, and they're going to be in the lane that you want to be in. So being able to have a versatile truck to be able to run the top and the bottom is, as we see Connor Jones really loose right there, but having a versatile truck is super important.
Talked about Connor Jones. He's a wild child. He's given us some things to talk about in this series, in the ARCA series. He's running on the Cars Tour. He's a regular over there.
Well, there's not much that's, he's definitely, his fear level is
non-existent.
Non-existent. Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. But we saw Connor spin out in practice, and right now you see him in the green here at third truck out.
Greg Van Alst went out before him with a 16:03. Jones fastest with a 15:74. Got a driver making his Truck Series debut coming up next from Canada. There he is in the 62. Halmar Friesen Racing. Cole Butcher.
A couple of our short track racers back to back. We're all short track racers at one point or another, but these guys, Connor Jones and Cole Butcher, both currently very involved in the short track scene in different series.
Currently leads the ASA Stars National Tour standings.
Hear him on the rev limiter right there at the end of the front straightaway.
Like what you said, Kevin, about how different it is to come over to these trucks when you're used to running late models and stocks, and you know, those cars, those vehicles are much lighter than what these trucks are.
Yeah, and Bristol in itself is, even if you run ARCA cars and hadn't run at Bristol, but you have that kind of two things working against you there: the weight of the vehicle, the style of the racetrack, and everything that happens here. But great job by Cole. You see him run a 15:56. And that's 0.3 faster than he ran in practice, and that's what I'm talking about for the later guys, knowing what that pace pickup is going to be, because it's a different way that you have to drive the vehicle. It's less brake, more throttle. The truck is taped up, so it's naturally going to run faster. Air pressures are pumped up, so a lot of things working just with the speed of the vehicle that'll naturally just make it go faster.
Well, Kevin, we talk about the Truck Series and all these youngsters, the 18-year-olds, the 19-year-olds. How about Norm Benning, 73 years young here. Doesn't run all the races, but he still loves it. He's going to keep doing it until he physically cannot get in a race truck anymore. Good to see him and that big smile of his.
Norm's out there having a good time. You see him struggling with the truck look like it bottomed out right there in the middle of the corner.
We truly have it all in the Truck Series as Norm Benning brings it down pit road. Be Parker Kligerman coming up next, making his 6th start of 2025. 4 top 5s, 6 top 10s, and 11 Bristol starts. He's had a good run of it here.
Yeah, and Parker, I mean, he's such an extraordinary human being. All his enthusiasm and everything that goes with Parker's personality, and listening to him on TV, it always makes me think to myself, I need to have more enthusiasm.
Yes, you do.
He is always full of fun and enthusiasm. But Parker's a great guy, and obviously had some success on the racetrack with being in victory lane just a few weeks ago after he stepped in for Connor Zilich there in the Xfinity car for Junior Motorsports.
That was exciting. Everybody roots for him, you know, but we love when you guys get out of a race car or a race truck and you can join us here in the booth and give that insight. He's doing that week in and week out over for the CW, but getting it done right here, not bad. A 15.67 second for Parker Kligerman. Todd.
Yeah, Jamie here with Grant Anfinger. Grant, coming off a great third place at Darlington, which gave you a little bit of a points cushion, not too much, but you're in fourth in points. It's got to be great coming to a racetrack like this, having that cushion.
Yeah, honestly, we got a little bit of cushion from Darlington, but the biggest thing for CR7 Motorsports is for us to just unload close and work on our qualifying, work on our race, just be towards the front the whole time like we were at Darlington. I feel like we got off to a pretty decent start. We were fourth in practice, and just we were close balance-wise. We started out a little free, ended up a little tight. I feel like that means our champion power equipment Chevy was, we unloaded a little bit close, so hopefully we just fine-tune it from here.
There you go, Grant Enfinger.
He always has a good attitude, Kevin. One of the veterans of this sport.
A lot of experience. I was just going to say that. Put himself in a good position to, you know, have a successful run or a successful start to the playoffs to have that championship run.
Caleb Costner in the 74 making his third career start here in the Truck Series. He's ran in the Xfinity or ARCA Series quite a bit. Ran 14th here in his Bristol ARCA race. Back in 23 was the last time he raced here. See him 7th. Can't be too happy with that. Need to find a little bit more speed as you see teammates chatting it up. Tanner Gray, Corey Heim. We'll see all of the playoff drivers lumped together, saving them for the end. Josh Rayome, Stars and Stripes, seeing a lot of that out here today, that being September 11th. Josh fields 3 trucks in the Truck Series, and what a great job they do. Small operation, Kevin, to get 3 trucks here is a big effort.
Well, it's a big effort just to get 1 here, but you see Josh a little bit loose up off of turn 4 right there, wrapping the bottom of that racetrack. Truck looks like it has a, you know, he's got a pretty good line and pretty good grip level with it as he goes through this qualifying run.
Josh doesn't race every week. Here and there, his 6th start of the season. Josh pulls it down into pit road, back to the garage. Tight quarters here, Kevin, especially when you're running 4 different series at Bristol. That infield is small.
It definitely gets small quickly, and you know, I think you see all these haulers parked in the infield, but that's always one of the most intriguing parts to me is watching those haulers drive down the banking into the infield, and it looks really orderly right there, but
they're 2 and 3 feet apart.
Yeah,
it's amazing, and what they have to drive on over that banked racetrack to get into the infield. There's Clayton Green in the 2 truck. Need to get him some sponsorship.
Yeah, you see Clayton right there, both corners on that lap right there, loose into the corner, loose off the corner. And we talk so much about the truck being able to be stable getting into both of these corners. This truck is not really stable anywhere the way it looks right now.
First start for him here at Bristol. And these teams, they're underfunded. They don't have all the resources. They don't have driver coaches, Kevin. They're not getting all that sim time to learn. It's like the old days, right? Just jump in and go by the seat of your pants. You're feeling it out and hope that you hit somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, and you know, a place like Bristol, from the way that all the springs and shocks and bump stops and all the different things that you have to work out with the bar timing and all the technical things underneath these trucks is extremely difficult to get it right. And then you add in all the load and the banking and everything that happens at Bristol, can be hard for a team that doesn't have that funding to put all those pieces together.
Here's Trayton Lapsevich in the 02. The Canadian making his Truck Series debut. Another one you're familiar with from the Cars Tour, Kevin?
Yeah, I've seen Trayton win a few races on our tour, did a great job Great kid, works hard on the race cars, and now getting an opportunity here in the O2 truck. You see that bare knuckle fighting championship on the side of his truck. Been a long time supporter of everything that Trayton has raced so far that I can remember. So it's fun to see somebody like Trayton get the opportunity at the Truck Series level here.
Yeah, nice lap for him. 15:83 for Trayton Lapsevich, 4th so far. They're all chasing Cole Butcher. Plenty more drivers still to come, including that lady right there, Tony Breidinger, Matt Crafton. Stay with us from Bristol Motor Speedway.
Tonight, it's
Series qualifying continues. Next up, it's Matt Mills in the 42 truck. Full-time driver for Nice Motorsports. Bristol hasn't been great to him, but we know Bailey Curry has run well here in the past, so we know they can find the speed.
And Nice does a great job with all the trucks that they put on the racetrack and everything that they do in their shop. We've seen Ross Chastain be such an integral part of helping the guys like Matt Mills be able to be competitive, and he's had some good runs this year. So off here to Bristol, you say it hadn't been good to him, but today's a good day to start a new trend, Jamie.
I like it. Starting a new trend today. Matt Mills with a 15.66. That's second. Todd, who'd you find?
Well, here with Tyler Ankrum. Tyler, you told me earlier today you're really excited about tonight because you finished 4th here in the spring and you brought the same truck with the same 4 springs. Is it reacting the same?
Yeah, actually, I was really happy with my truck in practice. Couldn't fire off like I wanted to in dirty air, but we had a really good, consistent, long-run truck, and I didn't turn on any of my brake fans at one point in time, and we ran 50-something laps, so I was really happy with it in the fall-off. I'm really surprised the track's not faster than what it is. I totally would have expected expected with this PG1 to go around a 14.90 or a 15.0, but it's looking like it's only going to be about a 30. So we'll see. Just go swing for the fences and pinkies out. So we're going to see what this line of Chevrolet's got in qualifying.
We'll go set the pace for him.
Swing for the fences, pinkies out. I have not heard that before.
Well, I'm glad that he didn't shoot for that 14.90 with the truck. That would have been looking for a tow truck.
The 33 Mason Maggio just wrapped up his laps. 16 flat, 16 seconds around here. Good enough for 6th so far. But I like Tyler Ankram's attitude. He seems pretty positive about what he has and kind of duplicating that performance they had here in the spring. Here's Tony Breidinger. She had over 60 laps in practice, Kevin. Spent all that time out on track just getting back up to speed, getting acclimated here at Bristol.
And that's exactly what she needs is laps, right? And now it becomes, you get into that race rhythm, and it's like we talked, it's hard to know what that qualifying rhythm is. And those are the types of things that Tony needs to continue to experience as you see that truck get loose and up the racetrack. And so running a good race pace and running fast qualifying laps, two totally different styles.
She drives for Tricon Garage, one of 5 trucks. Corey Heim is a teammate, but it's so easy for people on the outside to say, well, we see how good Corey is. Why can't they just run the same setup and be somewhere in the ballpark? But you drivers are just so different, Kevin. You can't just put somebody else's setup on and expect the same result.
And I used to tell Danica Patrick the same thing. She's like, what do I need to do to catch up? I'm like, you're not. You can't catch up to the experience that a lot of these guys have on all the short tracks and in the truck series and all the things that go with that.
Here's Spencer Boyd in the 76, making his 8th career start here at Bristol.
Ooh. See, big loose right there, up off the corner for Spencer. Hear that throttle, you can see the truck.
Down.
Yeah, you can see the truck moving around. Definitely very uncomfortable at this point.
There was a lot going on with his paint scheme. Oh boy, almost had more. Spencer Boyd machine, not happy. So far, faster than 4 trucks, though, after all that.
Yeah, it definitely looks very eventful inside, from the outside looking in. So that was definitely a handful for Spencer right there.
Happy to bring it back in one piece after that. Here's that moment.
Yeah, and as a driver, you want to be able to commit to the throttle, and you want to roll off into the corner, roll off the brake, go back to partial throttle. And a lot of times when you're in this qualifying lap type situation, when that happens too fast, that's exactly what happens. The back of the truck will just slide as we immediately come on the screen and see Dawson Sutton sliding off of turn 4 coming to the green flag.
Tennessee orange truck, it looks good. Home race for this team. They're located in Nashville, a few hours away from Bristol, Tennessee.
Oh, big loose for Dawson right there, getting into turn 1. Off
but
a turn.
To the top.
Yeah.
It was worth the risk, Kevin.
Yeah, and he got a little tight off of turn 4 the lap before, and his first lap was definitely really good with a 15:41.
Yeah, fast enough to be the fastest. Let's hear from Ty Majeski.
Yeah, Ty, typical Ty Majeski, Joe Shear fashion. Struggle a little bit in the regular season, but we get to the playoffs and you guys are spot on and fast. What is the deal with that?
You know, if you look at the schedule and you circle the races you want to be good at, you'd circle the one in the playoffs. So, yeah, we just, I think it's a combination of a couple things. We have really good tracks in the playoffs, and we've been together, I don't know, we might be the longest tenured driver crew chief in the garage area, so we just had that experience together. But overall, I think our Soda Sense Ford F-150 is pretty good today. Unloaded, not so good, but we made good adjustments throughout practice, and I think we're going to be a contender tonight, so we'll see what happens.
Go get him, Ty.
I like it, Kevin. We talked about Ty bringing it down pit road during practice, needed to make those adjustments. He was happy with that and thinks he's a contender for tonight.
Well, with that experience and his knowledge of you know, being to some of these racetracks so many times before in the truck, it just puts them in a position to be successful this time of year.
Bailey Curry, really nice job, second quick.
And this is what starts happening. You see that racetrack start to clean up. You see that the speed of the racetrack with different vehicles that go out and pushing the issue a little bit further, pushing that time a little bit lower. And then the next guy is like, all right, that track has a 40 in it now. I think I need to run a 20 to get the pole tonight. So it's always interesting to see the progression of qualifying. I think when you look at Bailey Curley and Cole Butcher and those guys, you know, that are second and third, that probably turns into 17th, 18th by the time we get to this qualifying session.
Stephen Parsons, good looking truck there, 2 weeks in a row now. Fifth start of 2025, had a 12th place finish at Texas back in May. Always makes the most of it. Parsons increases on his second lap, 6th for him. Next up is Matt Crafton in the 88. Next year, it'll be Ty Majeski behind the wheel of the 88, they announced. He said it is like getting a promotion. This is the truck at ThorSport. It's been there the longest. It started everything. And to get the call from Duke and Rhonda Thorson to say, hey, we want you to take over for Matt Crafton, Ty Majeski said it was certainly an honor.
Yeah, and you see Menards on the side of that truck as well. It has gone right along with Matt Crafton. So, you know, for Ty to be able to you know, have his name on the top of that door right there is going to be quite an honor. Matt's been such a staple of this series for so many years that, you know, it's going to be strange to see the truck series have a race with Matt not on the racetrack.
26 years. I mean, what's the average age of this field here? It's got to be like 26,
lower than mine,
25.
and lower than mine and Matt's. I know that for sure.
Matt Crafton with the 15:56. That is third quick. Gio Ruggiero, the young rookie, 19 years old, out of Massachusetts. Just done a great job. Ran in the ARCA Menard series, wasn't full-time, always made the most of every start. Toyota liked what they saw in him. And what a great race he had a couple of weeks ago at Darlington.
Yeah, he's done a great job just with the progression of his year and maturing and taking all the information of all those times that he's been up in the front of the pack and being in contention. And I just think that they have done a great job with Gio, and he's done a great job himself of putting in the work and time that it seems. And in the end, he runs fast. So that's what everybody wants to see, and obviously he wants the results as we see him go third quick.
Gio Ruggiero finishes his laps. Plenty more drivers still to come. Chandler Smith coming up. and his fast laps coming up. Lane Riggs getting set. And it's Corey LaJoie. He's racing all of the remaining races. Good to see a little consistency with Corey LaJoie here in the Truck Series.
And from a driver's standpoint, that's always nice. If you're going to race, you might as well, if you can get that consistency, you want to be able to have that rhythm, and especially when you go to places like Bristol, right? Like if you hadn't been in there in a long time, you spend most of your practice just trying to get comfortable enough to make laps that are competitive. So you see Corey fourth quick right there. Seeing those times start to stack together.
Yeah, they are. It's interesting too, who's been fast on the first lap versus second lap.
Yeah, our first two guys, they were Dawson Sutton and Bailey Curry there. Their fast laps were on lap 1. Everybody behind them up until about 10th was done on lap 2. So no real rhyme or reason to it yet.
Here's Jack Wood with second quick in practice. Really good effort by him. He was injured a few races ago at Watkins Glen, was forced to skip a race and then jump back in.
The other thing that's happening here, sorry to interrupt you there, Jamie, but the other thing that's happening as you come up off of turn 2 and down into turn 3, big loose there by Jack Wood. But that shade is starting to creep onto the racetrack, and we all know that when the shade hits the racetrack cools down, and typically the temperature goes down, and not as much in the concrete, but it will start to pick the speed up a little bit as we go through the session. So Jack Wood there, 7th quick with a big moment.
It certainly was. We've had some moments already, Kevin, but they've all kept it together, kept their trucks in one piece.
Well, it's Bristol, Jamie.
I know.
There's going to be some moments. You're going to see some bumping and some banging.
We're setting the table
sideways.
Right now. Watch that moment again.
Yeah, and a lot of times when the left side tires release off of that grip strip down there, sometimes it'll shove the front, and sometimes it, if the truck is turning really well, the back will just immediately take off as it starts to go up onto the front straightaway.
I know the cameras, they show it big, but nothing like it is when you're inside that truck or car.
The television never does those moments justice, because those are massive moments inside the race vehicle.
Andres Perez in the 44. Few starts now with his new team, Nice Motorsports. Saw a mid-season change. Don't always see those things. He was a Spire driver for most of the year, but he's done a great job getting up to speed, as you see it there. 4th quick for Andres Perez, the driver out of Mexico City.
Oh,
missed the turn in.
Back it up.
2024 ARCA Menards Series champ. Probably strange for him to be there looking at the ARCA cars as they're getting ready for their race coming up here at 5:30 Eastern on FS1. Connor Mozak, the 26-year-old out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Connor's been fun to watch. He's raced everything. Kevin, he's come up through the ranks from Trans Am, road course background, ARCA Menards stuff. He's done Xfinity.
Yeah, and the more laps you can get in any vehicle, whether it's a road race car, a truck, an Xfinity car, late models, whatever it is, my theory is the more you race, the more you learn. And it's expensive. I get that part of it, but that race experience and knowledge just in those different conditions prepare you a lot for days like this when you got to go from practice to qualifying at Bristol.
Driving for McAnally Hilgeman Racing, 4 trucks in the field. Good enough for 9th for Connor Mozak.
It's going to be really interesting to see what this quick time ends up being. We talked a little bit earlier about Bailey Curry and Cole Butcher. They were 2 and 3 at the time, and I said they could possibly be 16th or 17th, but they're hanging in there better than, especially Bailey Curry. I think his time is going to be right up there, but you go a 1/10 of a second, and how many spots that is on the board is Ben Rhodes, big time. We've seen several trucks now big time loose off of turn 4.
Rhodes was 11th quick in practice. I know a big disappointment for all the Ben Rhodes fans. Missed making the playoffs this year. 2-time champion of this series.
I love how bright these Thor Sport trucks are. You see Campers Inn on the side of Ben Rhodes' truck this week, and longtime supporter of our sport, but That fluorescent, would you call that red or orange?
Kind of in the middle-ish.
Okay. But either way.
It's kind of red and orange.
Yeah, the 88 and the 99 are my kind of trucks because of the fact that you can spot them easily.
Beautiful. Yes, it definitely helps.
Yeah.
You're calling the race from the booth.
Yeah, and
Trucks
for a
that
blind
stand
lady
out.
like you, I mean, that's got to help.
Hey, you're the guy that started the trend of wearing glasses in the race car, Kevin.
I don't know if I started that, but
You did it openly.
I definitely participated.
Yes, you did.
Stuart used to hide them in his pockets and try to hide the fact that he was wearing glasses.
Maybe you made it cool.
I don't know that I have a cool bone in my body, Jamie.
I mean, well, yes, you do. You're a champion. Of course, you're cool. But we got Kyle Busch. He wears glasses in the car. Joey Logano. Got quite a few. I'm right there with them. So are you, by the way. Tanner Gray on track. Finished 6th at Darlington. What a run.
Tanner's done a solid job this year. I think, with all of these guys, for the most part, are so young and so inexperienced at a lot of these places. But you go to Tanner and Gio, as you see Tanner P5 right there. But their speed makes up for a lot of the inexperience and things that they've been able to do on the racetrack. So it's fun to watch them get better as they go through time with those fast trucks and fast drivers.
Yeah, definitely shot in the arm. So far, Dawson Sutton likes what he's seeing. He's got to be sweating it out, though, Kevin. What a moment it would be to get the pole at Bristol, but there's so many good trucks still to come. Haven't talked about this guy, Brent Cruz, the 17-year-old out of Hickory, North Carolina. Hear him on the rev limiter right there.
Yeah, we haven't seen Brent race a lot this year. It's he's typically a guy that in the past has been able to race a lot, but
he's actually doing double duty tonight, so he's getting a 2-for-1. That's a lot on your plate. We've seen some great success.
Great lap.
Yeah, it is. He'll be in the ARCA race coming up after us. This is his 6th truck start this year. Driving for Tricon Garage. 15:48, 4th for Brent Cruz.
Yeah, you saw that first lap right there. That truck was definitely on edge with Brent. Had the back of that thing hung out, and the second lap was a little bit slower for Brent. So still don't have any real trend to the first or second lap.
All right, so now we get into the playoff drivers, back to back to back. Sit back and get ready. This is going to be fun. Corey Heim, obviously, he's been on it in qualifying, 5 poles this year. Lane Briggs, 2 poles.
Oh, man, that is the earliest I've heard anybody hit the rev limiter. And as we saw Chandler Smith come to the green flag right there, he was up a lane on the racetrack, and that definitely probably played into that. But you see a lot of green right here, Jamie.
Going in the right direction. Just as you said that, though, it goes to red. Goes to the top. Chandler Smith does not have a pole yet this year. 15:35 is the benchmark now. Dawson Sutton slips to 2nd.
Great lap by Chandler right there. We know that his experience and success that he's had at this racetrack will definitely come into play tonight. He'll be a threat.
He will be a 2-time winner. He was great at Darlington, started on the front row alongside his teammate. So far, so good. So we have 9 drivers still to go. Caden Honeycutt, 52 truck. Last time, well, we were at Bristol. He was in a different truck with a different team. They made a swap, and now he's in the playoffs.
Well, you see where the first playoff driver wound up on the board.
So far, so good, right? Caden Honeycutt runs in the Cars Tour, has in the past. Kevin, you're a fan of this kid?
Oh, Snowball Derby champion, Cars Tour Pro late model champion last year. Obviously has had a little bit change with his opportunities that he's got into for next year, and Caden's a great kid.
It's just been impressive what he's been able to do. Technically driving for 3 different teams this year and still has himself in this position. He said Stuart Friesen, watching recovering from home, has been a huge help to him on the phone, watching everything, giving him advice.
Great lap.
To the top for Caden Honeycutt. 2 playoff drivers down, 8 more to go, including that man, Lane Riggs. Night on track is Lane Riggs, the 2-time pole sitter already this season, including last race at Darlington. Sounded pretty confident in what he's got here. What do you think, Kevin?
Well, you see what has happened. Everybody started to move up the racetrack coming to the green flag as the rubber has picked up, and that started a new trend, getting that run to the green flag. But you see right there, Caden Honeycutt a little bit better off of turn 2 on the first lap here. A lot of speed through the center of the corner compared to the ghost car for Lane Riggs right there.
About half of the racetrack is shaded right now.
Yeah, and he's got him beat by about a half a truck down the back straightaway.
Oh, it is so close. Not enough. Second for Lane Riggs with a 15:35. Caden Honeycutt still the quickest.
And that's what happens when you get old, Jamie, like I am. You root for the wrong ghost vehicle there. So when I call the wrong truck instead of the truck that's on the track.
We know what you meant.
Yeah, well.
Look at this. We've had 3 playoff drivers, all 3 at the top. Now here's one of our playoff drivers, Kevin. He was not having a good practice session. He ended up, I believe, the worst of all 10 drivers. Not expecting that. You saw it there. He finished 3rd here in the spring.
And he's going to fix all that right now, according to our tracker, as you watch
the green
Raja go and have a lot of green going into turn 3. He's going to have another shot at that, but still puts himself in the game. He's not 26th and getting himself mentally reset and putting himself in a position to go out and make a good qualifying lap. Puts all that to bed when you can position yourself up in the front.
There's your ghost truck again.
Yeah, but I don't know who I'm rooting for.
Caruth stays 4th. Of course, drivers in blue, that means they are playoff drivers.
And isn't it so funny how when you get to this time of the season, you just see those guys stack up at the top of the pylon. It's all the details, it's all the time and the enthusiasm and everything that goes into these playoffs. It just ramps up, and you see these guys that are in the playoffs just take it to another level.
And NASCAR knew what they were doing when they put them all together in the qualifying order. A little bit of drama. Jake Garcia making his first playoff appearance, driver out of Georgia.
Solid run through 1 and 2 right there for Jake. You see that momentum that he's able to carry down the back straightaway and makes it happen.
Wow, to the top, Jake Garcia for Thor Sport Racing.
Jake's done a great job this year. We've seen him be in contention several times as he's gone throughout the season, that consistency, but what a great lap. That mid-20, 15:24 right there by Jake. That's going to be a tough lap to beat.
Got all of it for sure. We talked to him at Darlington. He is so focused, Kevin. He does not want to crack. He's under a lot of pressure. He let us know that. It's a big opportunity for him in his career to be in this situation. As we take a look at Corey Day. Now, Corey Day is not a playoff driver, but his team, his truck is in the Owners' Championship. So their goal here, Brian Patty, his crew chief, told me, they've just got to get points tonight. Above that cut line, they've got to stay there and stay in the hunt. Corey Day's got a lot on his plate. He's running the Xfinity Series race as well. Had to get permission to be here because Connor Zilich was initially supposed to be here in the 7 truck. Sixth after the first lap for Corey Day, who, by the way, 3 straight top 10s in a row in the times he's been in the truck. What a turnaround. He is figuring something out here.
Oh, good lap by Corey Day. You heard that, the RPMs come up on the truck. That truck slide up off of turn 4 like we've seen so many of those trucks do, but kept his foot in it and put himself up at the 3rd position.
It'll be a good starting spot no matter how this all shakes out. Tyler Ankrum told Todd, what'd he say? Swing for the fences, pinkies up.
I'm not sure that I've ever heard that.
I've not either.
We heard Tyler talk about his truck and how it had the same 4 shocks and springs, and we look at the speed of the pole. The last pole was right in the ballpark, a little bit slower than where we are right now, but it seems like there's a lot of consistency as you see Ankrum go up to P2.
Nice lap for him. Got himself in the playoffs by winning earlier in the year at Rockingham. So second for Tyler Ankrum with a 15:32.
Yeah, and right now we're going to include Corey Day in this as well. He's not highlighted, but he's in the Owners' Championship. But the playoff guys are undefeated at the top of the board so far.
Yeah, they are. Ty Majeski wasn't happy when they first got out on track in practice, but they were able to make some adjustments. We talked about that long relationship he's had with Joe Shear. Been together many years, I think maybe longer than anybody else in the field.
Yeah, and we see Ty choose to come to the green in the normal preferred fast line on the racetrack right now. For me personally, that's the way I would like to do it as well, because of the fact that you get a feel for your vehicle. So P5 on his first lap. Doesn't look like from the tracker that there's a lot of improvement. Actually probably run a little bit slower on lap 2. So all of these playoff guys, they are going to be stacked together at the front of this field, Jamie.
Can't wait to watch how this all shakes out. This race a little bit longer than typically here for the fall race, 250 laps instead of 200. So it'll match the race distance from the spring. Here's Grant Enfinger, the Alabama driver. He's come close to winning it here. Hasn't gotten it done.
Obviously, Grant has a lot of experience. We know that he had a great run at Darlington last week. Put himself in a good position point-wise here to go out and try to continue his playoff run as we go through the night at Bristol. You never know what's going to happen here. I mean, you can get caught up in somebody else's mess pretty quick. but they have definitely given themselves a little bit of breathing room from the point standpoint.
Enfinger had the pole here back in 2020. No poles this season, though. So it'll be 8th for Grant Enfinger. And there were 2 remaining. Mentioned Daniel Hemrick. He got a win earlier this season at Martinsville. He likes this short track stuff. Didn't get as much practice time as many of them. They had trouble getting through technical inspection. Let's see what they've got here for qualifying.
Well, you got a lot of experience behind the wheel, so you know that from the Daniel Hemrick side. And you know, I think as this racetrack has gone on and all of these playoff trucks on the racetrack, you've seen the speed definitely starting to pick up, and they've all put themselves up in the front of the pack. So Hemrick needs to do the same thing to keep himself in this fight for tonight.
10th for Hemrick after lap number 1.
Yeah, and he's going to put himself on the backside of all those playoff contenders. The second lap's not going to be any better. So he's going to start the most likely the deepest of any of our playoff guys.
1 driver remains, and Jake Garcia, what is going through his mind? No matter what, he's starting on the front row at this point, and that's a great feeling. You see a little smile from him there.
Well, he knows deep down this is the guy that you have to beat, and ultimately it's the last truck on the racetrack, and Corey Heim has obviously earned the right to be considered the fastest guy in this truck series with all the success that he's had. So we'll see what we've got here.
Love that shot, watching his hands work.
Not going to do it on the first lap, P3. See Corey Heim in red. Obviously he won at Darlington. He's locked into the next round. A little bit better lap for Corey here. Loses it a little bit off of turn 4, so.
Still improved a little bit,
yeah,
but not enough. Corey Heim's second. Jake Garcia gets it done. 3rd career pole in his 70th start. All those poles have come this season. What a day and what a night for this young man, Todd.
Yeah, Jake, great pole. This is the time to pick it up in the playoffs, and you and your crew chief, Jared Prince, have done that.
Yeah, definitely. You know, a good time to get a 3rd pole of the year. Really proud of our guys. Started off practice like really far off and made a lot of adjustments throughout practice, made a bunch of runs and got it better and better, and even got on the other side of it too a little bit. So really proud of our guys for that effort, and you know, making good adjustments between practice and qualifying to give me a truck to make this lap. So yeah, I just want to thank all my Quanta Services guys, and hopefully we can keep it up there in the race tonight.
Jake Garcia, 3rd pole. Jamie.
Great job by Jake Garcia and that team. Perhaps they'll get their first career win tonight. We'll have to wait just a little while. We'll find out tonight. ThorSport Racing picks up their 50th career pole. And now we set the table. We are ready for the race coming tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern on FS1. We've got the ARCA race, remember, coming up at 5:30 from here at Bristol. For all of us here at Fox Sports, Kevin Harvick, Todd Bodine, I'm Jamie Little. We'll see you back here at 8 p.m. Eastern for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Playoff Race number 2.